What is up, YouTube, Tumblr, Reddit, again, wherever you guys have found this. I hope that doesn't become my intro. So, anyways, let's get down to business. I've got a couple of things I want to talk about today, and I realized I just made a video last night. However, I did run across a couple of interesting points I would like to discuss. So, this really should be a two-part video, but I'm not really a big fan of editing of any kind of sort, so I'm just going to make it one giant video. If you guys are lucky, and when I say I don't like editing, I really don't like editing, but if you guys are lucky, I'll have an annotation to the second part, soon. Anyways, first part is going to be about the lobby and the state of Unity and my game and how they are going to interact with each other, and the second part is going to be about, my pursuit in game development, as well as the state of indie games, and a discussion about that in a video I watched and some links and stuff like that. Actually, now's a good time to annotate the second part if I do it, so I kind of like force myself to do it now, so there's that. Anyways, let's go ahead and begin with the first part. So, the thing I wanted to talk about is, again, back to the lobby system. Now, initially when I planned the lobby system, and I really wish I had my Microsoft Surface hooked up, I need to do that. But initially, when I created the server, the general idea was for players to be able to enter a lobby, and a server would be in control of that, and then within that server, players would be able to, find other players, and then they can challenge each other. Those two players individually go into a battle scene, and everybody else in the lobby just kind of chills with the server, and, the other two guys, when they're done, they come back to the lobby. Well, that actually isn't going to work due to the current infrastructure of both my game and Unity's current lobby. Now, as you guys can see on this right here, I'm on the Network Lobby Manager scripting API, so you can kind of see I've actually been studying up on the public functions for the last 3 hours or so, and I've been on Unity going back and forth testing out possible workarounds or solutions. I posted stuff on forums. I have looked into this extensively. I have read in a little bit about networking and things like that. And long story short, it seems that Unity's current their current networking build just doesn't support that kind of server, like a relay server or a master server or a headless server, whichever one you prefer. It's just not going to happen right now, and that's just because Unity's new networking solution is just in its infancy. It's still on phase 1. I believe there's going to be 3 or 4 phases. Phase 2 doesn't even roll out until, I believe, in March. So just bottom line, it's not happening. So I thought about ways to go around this and to circumvent it. And there are a couple of things that kind of drew my attention. And the first thing was, the obvious, okay, well, shit, there's got to be some way I can do it, right? There's got to be some way that players can get in and get out. And after really thinking about it, most games don't allow you to do it. They usually have some kind of master server, which all players kind of queue up into. And then after that, you have a host and you have other stuff. It's like, imagine Call of Duty, right? I'm using Call of Duty as the infamous example here because when you connect online, you are connecting to Call of Duty or Activision's master server, right? You join the game, and I'm using Modern Warfare 2 as an example because I don't know any other Call of Duty game. But you go on there, and then you hit the online button, and it connects to the PlayStation Network or to Xbox Live or to whatever PC's equivalent is. And after that, you guys join various lobbies, right? You get your friends, you go in, and then there's a lobby of 12 people or something, and one guy's the host. And when that host fucking lags, everyone gets pissed off. And basically what's going on there is that the first time you're connecting to Activision's server, which is the master server, and then after that, one guy is the host of the entire game and everyone connects to him. And that's basically what most games do. You have a giant container of all hosts, which are players, and then you have the actual players, which connect to the hosts. And that's it. And this works exactly the same way, except as it stands, I don't have that giant container of all players. It can't happen. And I can't have both within the same thing just because it's very difficult, if impractical, to do so. So it's just not happening. So originally I looked into other solutions, right? What could I do in order for players to interact with each other as much as possible, because that's what I'm looking for. And the first thing that came to mind was, well, let's just look at third-party solutions. Instead of using Unity's networking system, let's look at other solutions. So then I came over to this thing called Photon, and I'll get more onto Photon later. But basically, there are third-party solutions, and I've actually discussed this on my blog. I've used another one called Forge when I was a 120% scrub, now I'm just 100% scrub. But the idea behind those solutions is that they use their own special netcode that I integrate in my game, and then I use, whatever they have. So if they have more to offer than what Unity does, it might sound more enticing. There are other solutions out there that might cater towards turn-based games, some that might cater towards action-based games, things that need a lot of physics, things that need a lot of memory or really quick message sending, things like that. There are different kinds of services out there for different people. Now, the common question is, why would you stick to something stock like Unity? And the two answers to that are, one, it's got this out-of-the-box feel, like you get into it and it's just natural. It feels like it. If you know how to use Unity, you know how to use UNet. It's pretty simple, because it's meant to be very seamless, and it is. The second reason is because there is a lot of integration that Unity gets special permission to just because it's Unity exclusive. Now, does that mean that you can't get it from the third-party solutions? No, not really, not at all, actually. You can still get a bunch of stuff. But a good example is Photon is not supported by Xbox One. Now, I'm not moving to Xbox One, but there's just examples like that that make UNet a lot more enticing, especially in the future where it could only get better, well, in theory. So, with all that being said, I've stated a lot that UNet, Unity's networking system, is still in its infancy. And while it's still in its infancy, and it's cool to test things and all, why would I commit to it? Why would I put everything in my first game into it? And there's a couple of good reasons for that. And reason number one, like I said, it's just easy. It was nice. But reason number two is just because it's the one I felt most comfortable with. And I feel like while coding, that's very, very important, to just kind of get comfortable with things. And obviously, as a newcomer and as a person who wants to make a game with a lot of different systems involved, whether it be movement, cards, networking, action, all of those things make me get out of my comfort zone every single time. And if I'm already out of my comfort zone learning different concepts, I don't want to be out of my comfort zone using a different engine. So that's the idea behind that. Now, that being said, since Unity doesn't meet my requirements, am I going to switch over? Chances are probably not. And the reasons are actually twofold. Reason number one, I have to integrate all of my code that I used into a third-party solution. So let's say I use Photon, for example. I have to move all of my netcode over and rewrite it in Photon's lingo, essentially, right? It's like if I went over to, let's just say I'm American, obviously. If I went over to the UK, okay, yeah, it still has, the same logic, like there's still the same tongue involved, but people will say different things, and there's some really weird kind of errors that will happen just because I'm not really up to speed with the lingo, in a sense. And that's kind of what I don't want to deal with in Photon. I don't want any third-party thing, really. I've already gotten really comfortable with Unity and UNet, so I just don't want to, redo everything. On top of that, I'm going to have to pay for different plans, and I'll get to this thing later. I'm kind of trying to go in order. But anyways, yeah. So with all that being said, with all that I've discussed, I am disgusted. Ignore that tweet. With all that being discussed, what's the plan now? So the plan for us right now, I actually don't have this open, is I'm still intending on using Unity's multiplayer. Now, the problem with it is that I can't use a dedicated server for the time being, so I'm going to be using Unity's multiplayer service. Now, the multiplayer service, basically what it lets you do is it lets you connect to Unity's matchmaking system, which is some crazy web-integrated bullshit. I don't even know, I don't understand, but it's great, it's magical. Thank you, Unity. But the idea behind it is this. So I can use their relay service free of charge during the preview phase, and I have no idea how long the preview phase is, but I can test my game up to 100 CCU. That means up to 100 players at the same time can connect to my game, click a button, and then magically be paired with an opponent. Similar to games like you see that has a random button, a find opponent button, start game, quick match, all of that stuff. That's basically what matchmaking is in a sense. Now, the issue with it is that it only supports 100 players at a time. That's really small. But I am a new developer, and hardly anybody knows my name, so 100 players ain't a thing to me. One day, it's going to be an issue. Now, what happens if we magically hit that 101? Basically, the 101st player can't connect online with Matchmaker. They can still connect to somebody's IP. So what this means is that I can have an infinite amount of players playing as long as everyone has each other's IP addresses, which is, in a grand idealistic scale, that's kind of dangerous because, you know, there's DDoSing, there's phishing, and blah. But let's be honest here, like, if you're going to give out your IP, you're probably going to do it to a friend or somebody you trust, and it's going to be okay. Most games will let you do it anyway. So the idea is, on the website that I'm going to host, I'm also going to have a forum with a live chat. I'm going to try to get our IRC chat open. And yeah, the idea is that, you know, people will go in there and you guys will basically, if Matchmaker is full, or if you guys just want to have private games, if you guys just want to play with friends or homies, you know, you just give out your IP. You can ask your IP. You can just go on, like, get like a DNS server or something, like a DNS server, blah. A dynamic IP address. I don't know why it's a DNS. Well, there is a DNS.com. There's a DYN.com. Anyways, beside the point, guys. I'm tired. I'm rambling. But, yeah, the idea is, while Unity is still in its preview phase, 100 CCU, basically the lucky 100 who can get a game in really quickly will do that. And if you're unlucky, and for some reason I get past 100 players at one given instance, which I don't see happening, then you guys can just connect to friends using IP addresses. And before you guys freak out and go, whoa, Vince, I don't want to use IP addresses, think of all the other popular games that use IP addresses. The first two that come to mind are Risk of Rain and Minecraft. People do it all the time. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. I host servers all the time when I play Mega Man 8-Bit Deathmatch, and I have I've got an IP address that's just kind of out there. It's more of a dynamic address, but whatever. So it should be that big of a deal. On top of that, I sent Unity an email asking about, you know, the changes, the pricing, and all that other stuff, and when we can get more information, when we can see things, etc. Now, let's assume that Unity doesn't work fast enough. Let's assume that, you know, I hit like 1,000 players like that, and people are just itching for a server. Now, what's going to happen then? Well, first I'll have to consider the time frame, right? So this is Unity's roadmap. If you guys don't really know Unity, they're a company working on a bunch of stuff. Anything that involves game development, they're pretty much on, right? So here's where we are kind of sort of right now. We're actually on version 5.20. So we just got this not even a week ago, like 4 or 5 days ago. This is what stuff that's going to happen here, and 5.3 comes out December 8th. There's some interesting stuff. There's host migration, so like if some guy craps out, then, you know, you can move the host, and that's whatever. But this is what I'm really interested in. 5.4, I believe this is their phase 2 or phase 3. I want to say phase 2, I'm not sure. But down here on networking, we actually have a standalone simulation server. This is the relay server I want. So by March 16th, by around March, theoretically I should be in beta, give or take, or maybe late alpha, which is okay. That's perfectly fine. Around then we can actually get dedicated servers up and running. If things go well, I have to see if it's even viable. Do I have enough players? Is there a big enough player base? Do I have enough money to support this, etc.? And if the answer is yes, then we can look into that. So let's assume that for some reason this game blows up. Very, very unlikely, but I'm considering any kind of circumstance here. I'm assuming that I'm going to get a very small player base, and the 100 that I have in preview should be more than enough. I might not even need a dedicated server, but let's just say I absolutely do need some kind of server to host everyone because people are just going nuts. That's when I look into Photon here, right? So basically I can pay X amount a month, I can choose my plan, and I can host a ton of people, and it gets, you know, higher and higher per 1,000. If I need 500, if I need 1,000, and they have special plans and stuff. You know, there's a bunch of crazy stuff that you can do on here, and it's a good amount of money, and it's going to take a lot of players, and I'm not going to lie, a lot of income to make me justify this. And the reason is because the idea here, honestly guys, it's not that big of a money grab. I've said this enough times. I basically want to make enough money that I can support you guys playing this, and if I can't do that, I'm taking money out of my own pocket, and I still have my own life to live, including college. So if, you know, I don't make enough money to justify opening up more servers, and if I don't have enough players, then this is not happening. And on top of that, I have to reintegrate all of my code, as I said before, and that's annoying. So the chances of this happening are very, very, very slim, but I am keeping it in consideration in the small chance that this game blows up, and I don't expect it. But for now, we're looking towards this March 16th. All right, so keep that date memorized. I certainly will. Also, Unity, for whatever reason, if you guys are watching this, please hurry up. Please. Anyways, so that's basically the idea with the roadmap, and this is just some information that I read. I don't know if I'll actually post this, but this was just a couple of the staff talking about the state of UNet relay servers when they're coming out, the phases, pricing, etc. I've messaged the company about this. So that's basically where we're going with Unity right now. That's basically where this game is headed. Now, it's kind of a blessing at the same time. It's a gift and a curse, if you will, because it saves me a lot of time of working with lobbies. Really, the only thing I need to do now is integrate matchmaking and then, I guess, make a lobby for when you're in the game and you connect to one of your friends. So, like, you get into a lobby and then you're there, your friend's there, you both hit ready, the game starts. That's going to be so quick. Like, I'm going to get it done like that. I could actually probably finish it in like 2 days, if that. So definitely on Thursday I should have a lobby pretty much ready to go. I don't even know if I want to do a chat system still for a lobby, if it's just 2 players. Maybe I will, just because, I guess it's nice to have. And that's the idea behind that. I don't know if I'm going to be doing spectators yet, just because I don't know how the spectator objects work. For some reason, players can't spectate while they join late. So maybe if I do spectating until I get that bug fixed, because spectating, I'll be honest guys, it's not my top priority right now, just because I need to get the game itself done. But I'm thinking we're probably going to have something as in the lines of, you have the game itself, and you'll have the option to either join matchmaker and just look for an opponent immediately and then get into a game, kind of like what Hearthstone does, or you can join in, you can make your own lobby, have a buddy join, and have some homies join. 2 of you guys play a game and everyone else spectates. And basically, if you join the game late, or say 2 of your homies are playing a game you really want to watch, basically until I get the bug fixed, you join in and you can't watch until the next game starts. Cool. That's bearable, right? It's alpha. It's pre-alpha. I do plan on getting it fixed, but just not in the near future. Well, yeah. Probably somewhere before alpha starts, like toward the end of pre-alpha, I'll get that fixed. Anyways, that's the state of that. It's looking doable, and I don't really feel that discouraged about it, to be quite honest. And the reason is because of something that I watched earlier, and this is it's Total Biscuit, as you can see here, and it was a very interesting discussion that kind of caught my attention when it was on my feed. Now, usually when it comes to YouTube videos, I have this ritual where I watch discussion or podcast-esque videos when I get home, and I go home, I do my Hearthstone dailies, and then I'm listening to this in the background, and then I take a shower. That's what I do when I get home. It's a ritual. And this came on, and I'm a reasonable fan of Total Biscuit, I'll be honest. And he had discussed this article about a guy who made a game. He in a class, I believe. I believe it was a class. But yeah, a small team of students at an indie game. They made a game, and it took about a year. Okay, so TB basically just discussed these 2 articles over here. So I'm going to be flipping back and forth. But the article itself basically said that making an indie game right now in 2015 is really difficult, and basically good isn't good enough. And that was the common theme here. Good is not good enough. It asked a lot of questions about what made a game good and what made a game popular, right? So if you had a game that had really good mechanics and that was really innovative, then great, you have a really fun game that some people might like. Now, that being said, will it sell? Will it get popular? Not necessarily. In fact, this game in particular, I believe, is called Airscape. It's a platformer with weird gravity mechanics. I was actually watching a little bit while TB was talking. It sold 150 copies. Yeah, right here. It sold 150 copies, and I believe it was in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But yeah, it was 3 weeks ago, right? So after 3 weeks, it sold 150 copies. That's absolutely nothing. Now, it makes you think, okay, what's wrong with the game? Is there something wrong with the mechanics? Is the game not fun? Is the game not good enough? Was the marketing poor, etc., things like that. And all of those things were, you know, reasonably, like, well, they were reasonably true-ish. Like, actually, they were false. My bad, I said true, but they were all false. Like, the game itself, not a bad game. Marketing, reasonably so. Like, they reached out to a bunch of different people. They got a pretty good Metacritic score. I think they were on Giant Bomb, I want to say, and like they were on sale on Steam, the Humble Bundle. So like none of that could be blamed. And the game even won awards, even shit. I didn't even know that, but it still didn't sell well. And there's a lot to attribute to that. And basically, TB in this article talks about oversaturation within the market, and that there's just too many indie games out there that you have to be one in a million, or you just have to be damn lucky, or maybe a combination of both, to be able to make it in this kind of industry. And I'm not gonna lie, at first, like, this kind of this spiral's good if you guys want to take a look at that, but this kind of like, it got to me. I kind of thought about it, and I was like, you know, that's actually really true. Like, I think a lot of people who make games will just kind of assume that their game will make it, you know, to the top, or their game will have their own like niche audience, and that might be true somewhere down the line, but it begs the question of how far will that get you, if it gets you anywhere at all, and chances are it probably won't. Like this game, for example, after a year's work, selling damn near 150 is pretty weak. So I'm lucky, I'll be honest, guys, I'm very lucky. I'm a college kid who focuses on college work, and I love video games, and I want to make this a career, but I don't do this for the sake of my rent. I don't have bills that need to be paid, and my video games are the things paying them. Like, that's not the case for me. I've got a job, and I've got a really benevolent grandfather who's just helping me out, and like that's it. Like I've got a couple more years until college is over, and I can pursue this game development career pretty much with no risk, besides like my grades, I guess, but I can control that. But like my money isn't on the line, my life isn't on the line, my house isn't on the line. It's perfectly fine. And when I get out of college, like, even if these games don't sell really well, I can go to a place like Gearbox, which one of their offices is just a couple minutes down the road, and, you know, take my shots there and see what happens. Or, hell, I can pursue just a normal computer networking career. Who knows? But this still kind of, it sparked my attention, just because this is something I'm very, very interested in. I actually do want to be an indie game developer in the near future, in the very near future. In fact, I plan on calling myself, you know, an indie developer once my game is actually out there. So this kind of made me wary of, you know, how much do I want to price my game for? What do I want to do with the marketing? What do I want to do in regards to how this game is presented and what goes on? Do I want to make this a serious game? Do I want to make my next game serious and things like that? And I'll be honest, guys, this game was never really marketed towards money or sales, and I'm not sure every indie game is by any means. You know, some people just make games to make games, and that's cool. But this game, to me personally, it's a means of my determination and my ambition and my dreams for the future. And it sounds really corny, but I never really made this game for a cash grab. I want this game to kind of show that I have what it takes to be a game developer, and I'm not afraid to go out and learn something new and to give it my all and to put in all of my effort into this. And when the product is done, it ultimately should be my vision of fun and what I'm trying to create and what I'm trying to share with people around me. And that's it. Now, maybe one day I make a game that's just a pure cash grab. I hope not, but you know, who's to say? I'll be honest, guys, my next game I want to make a lot more serious, and I already have a bunch of stuff planned when I really shouldn't. But this game, it's meant for fun. Like, it's all good and fun, and that's it. I had a mentor who told me that whatever your motive is, it better be very, very transparent from the get-go, because at the very end, the motive is always going to show itself. And as it stands now, like, I'm doing this for the hell of it, you know? It's cool. Like, I want to make this a career. But what happens when I make my games serious? What happens when I start, you know, making games for the money? What happens when I start making games to draw audiences, to get a market? Then I need to start coordinating things a little differently. I can't just worry about, you know, what's fun all the time, and I hope I always do, but I also need to consider what's going to captivate people. What shows do I need to attend? What mechanics draw people in? What are people looking for? And this kind of coincides with the second article, and it's that your target market doesn't exist. And we're gonna skip all this and go down to the TLDR. And yeah, basically gamers are different. Don't overgeneralize, which is very true, right? Like, just because a game is in a certain genre, actually I think this will, just because gamers don't play one, just because he plays one game doesn't mean he'll try other games in this genre or the platform. That's also very true. And the last one, the core audience, blah. Yeah, so basically SOL for anybody that kind of banks on one genre, which I don't plan on doing, or banks on being a small company, which is something I kind of do. And yeah, it really made me consider things like my marketing in the future. Now, Triwing Unity is a small project, and I never really... The only reason I'm really selling this for money is just because I want to, pay off my license, and that's about it. So, $15 is a lot for an indie game. And I've been looking at this, and the race to the bottom of the barrel kind of sucks, but it's something I got to follow if I want to make a following. So, I'm basically going to market the game for $5 at Alpha, and if you buy the game at Alpha, you'll be given 4 copies to play with friends, and, just give it around. The game is going to stay $5 no matter what, so in beta it's going to be $5, you get 2 copies, and in the launch it's going to be $5, you get 1 copy. Pre-alpha is still going to be free for life, and the Kickstarter will have multiple rewards like music and art, and I want to do like decals, and I want to do... I'm probably going to do like custom like CDs and stuff that like are based off of the CDs in the game. I kind of want to do stuff like that, like art books. And honestly, if I can get like a backpack, like a wristband, if I can make a necklace or a bracelet, I'll probably do a bracelet because it's more fashionable. I'll probably do something like that, but we'll see. Marketing is going to play a huge deal in the near future. It's something I need to keep in mind, but all in all, I love this field. I love this industry. I really do. It's just something that I need to kind of keep in mind, that there is a very good chance that I might not make it in this cruel, unforgiving industry. So that was just something that kind of, I don't know, that kind of made me stay woke, as you kids say. I thought I was like a fucking idiot there, but yeah, that's something that caught my attention, and it's something I always need to keep in mind and slip my attention, or slip my mind. Blah, I'm tired, guys. But yeah, that's the state of the network right now, the state of where my game is headed. I hope you guys don't feel bad about it. If you guys have any comments, please let me know in the YouTube comments down below or on Tumblr. Also, guys, anybody liking my stuff, feel free to start reblogging, please. I really appreciate it. I could totally use the reblogs if you feel me. But yeah, I think that's all I have to discuss today. I'm gonna actually start studying for a couple of tests and stuff that I had this week. I'll resume coding on Thursday. I'm gonna make a kick-ass lobby. I'm gonna redo a bunch of my lobby stuff, do the deck editor, get the card system out of the way, and I'm still gonna shoot for the end of September goal. Basically now I'm gonna shoot for the end of September to have the system done, and I'm just gonna be building, like, making cards and doing the animations and stuff, so try to crank those out. But by the end of September I should have the entire, like, engine finished, like all of Triwing Unity except for the actual cards. Even the card system will be done, just not the cards themselves. That's the plan for September. Pretty feasible, pretty doable. Thank you guys for listening. Catch you guys in the next one, and see you then. Peace.